In this video, I'm reviewing and testing out the Canoly Masticating Juicer, so let's get started. The Canoly Masticating Juicer comes with 2 collection cups, a food pusher. There is also a cleaning brush included to help clean out pulp from the filter. The juicer is already assembled, but you will need to disassemble it and wash out all the parts before using it. To disassemble it, you're going to remove the top feed chute by turning it counterclockwise to the unlock symbol. Next, remove the filter by turning it counterclockwise. And finally, remove the big screw or auger from the container by pulling on it. You may want to rotate it clockwise a little before pulling it out. I've washed out all the parts and I'm going to wipe down the power base as well. Attach the filter to the feeding chute by turning it clockwise, and you can feel it nice and snug. Take the container and place it onto the motor base so that both the outlets sit in place like so. Then insert the screw onto the shaft of the base and rotate it clockwise while pushing it down until it's in all the way. Then place the feeding chute onto the container with the handle above the unlock symbol shown on the container here, and then rotate it clockwise to the lock symbol. Okay, so now we're ready to start juicing, and I'm just going to move everything over so you guys can see both the outlets here. So you can see I have my watermelon chopped up and ready to go. The on-off reverse button is located on the side here, and my reaction to the sound was that it is a little louder compared to some of the other juices I have used. The smaller pieces will go through the center hole of the circular shaped tray. You can also remove this by just removing the screw, but that's too much work. And then any larger pieces can be held and simply flipped over into the chute. The top feeding chute does wobble a bit, and that's normal while it's working. Depending on which way you have the juicer facing, the container holding the juice does have a maximum line on it. It would have been nice to have it printed on both sides, so I'm just going to eyeball it and release the juice once I think it's reached its maximum. If you do find the food getting stuck, use the reverse button to help release it before continuing to add more. I like that you can see the auger working and crushing the fruit. It handled the watermelon easily, including the soft seeds. I was only halfway through and my container was full to the max. Just look at that beautiful color, and there's no pulp in there at all. Really smooth and pulp free. The pulp will be fairly wet because watermelons naturally have a high water content. Taking a look at the filter area, it left behind all the mushy stuff you'd expect from a watermelon. You'd even see all the soft seeds in there, so there's no surprises there. The Canoly Juicer worked well for celery. Since it has a high water content, it really shouldn't struggle to extract most of the juice. I did have to hold the food tray in place because it kept flipping over. And like I said earlier, you can unscrew and remove the food tray if it gets in the way too much. But I didn't want to make more work for myself. It's easier to just hold the tray in place. So just pushing the celery down towards the auger, and you can see how well it's crushing it. The pulp from the celery was relatively dry, and I think I had about 9 or 10 celery stalks, and I was able to yield about 10 ounces. And as long as you pour it out slowly, you should be able to hold back any of the tiny bits of pulp that escape through the filter. Checking the filter area, it has trapped the strands and any pulp from the celery, so it did a really good job there, and cleaning it wasn't too much of a problem either. For my oranges, I decided to peel them and leave them whole. You want to remove as much of the rind because it can be quite bitter and you don't want to ruin the taste of your orange juice. So I'm just going to feed these through holes since they are a soft fruit. I was expecting them to crush easily. After 2 oranges, I could see a bit of buildup in the filter area, which means the container was at its max. So I had to release the juice more often, which was a good sign. The filter was able to remove most of the larger pulp pieces and seeds, but some tiny bits of pulp did pass through, which was expected, and you can see tiny bits floating around. But you can hardly notice them when you drink the juice unless you are really sensitive to the texture. Then you may want to strain it first. Checking the pulp and filter area, the pulp left behind was wetter due to the high juice content in oranges. So it was wet and mushy, and it did take me quite a bit of time to clean this part out. And my oranges were nice and sweet, so the juice turned out perfect. So all of this work was worth it. Moving on to apples. Now, according to the box, I can put in whole fruits. So I bought this machine with that in mind. I took a risk and tried a whole apple with its skin on. At first, all it did was roll around. Once I pushed it down to stay in place, the yogurt started crushing it. And I must say, watching it get crushed was pretty impressive. And even the skin came through the pulp outlet. Inside the container, you can see the juice and foam is separated. So when you release the juice, very little foam comes out. I then decided to try the second apple, but that just got stuck and I ended up having to pull the machine apart to take it out. That's when I could see where the problem was. There was a lot of skin and chunks of apple caught in the filter that was causing the blockage. So for apples, it's best to at least cut them into quarters, and to make the process smoother, it's also best to remove the skin. That way you won't have any of the apple skin getting caught in the filter and causing yourself more work. You can see a buildup of foam in the container and even in the outlet area, so that combined with the apple skin will definitely make both you and the machine work harder. But the end result of the apple juice was great because it had very little foam in it and it was free of any pulp. The pulp was relatively dry mixed in with the skin, and inside the container we can see all the foam and a lot of the mush under and around the screw area. Unfortunately, I did find chunks of apple in the filter, which was a waste, I think. So I would definitely peel and cut the apples before juicing them next time, simply to avoid wastage and to make juicing them easier to do. Moving on to baby carrots, I prefer them because I find them sweeter, and the juicer had no issues at all. It was just whizzing through them smoothly. I did about 10 ounces of baby carrots, which gave me about half a cup. And similar to the celery, if you pour it out slowly, you can hold back most of the tiny bits of pulp. The pulp was nice and dry and it was finely shredded. Checking the filter area, you can see it really did process those carrots well by separating the pulp from the juice. Inside the container, under the screw, you'll see all the finely shredded carrot pulp. To clean it, just use the double-sided cleaning brush to get under the pulp outlet area and release all the pulp from there. Under the container, there is also a silicone plug which can be opened to remove any pulp, and using the cleaning brush will help to do that. You just have to remember to close the plug when you begin juicing, otherwise juice will flow out along with any pulp. So overall, the Canoly Masticating Juicer is easy to put together and take apart. I like that you can see inside the juicer while it's working. Watching the auger squeeze the juice out of the fruits and vegetables is quite satisfying, and it also lets you keep an eye on it and check if anything is stuck. It worked well for different fruits and vegetables like watermelon, even with the seeds. Celery, oranges and carrots were really good. The juice from oranges had tiny bits of pulp, which is normal. The leftover pulp was wetter for oranges compared to almost dry pulp from celery, carrots and apple skins. Again, no surprises there. The advertising shows that you can put whole fruits in the juicer, but the instructions say to cut food into small pieces and remove cores, hard seeds and thick skins. This is a bit misleading because I bought this juicer thinking I could put in whole apples. While it did work with one apple, even that was tough for the machine with all the grinding and the loud sounds. So I kind of would avoid putting the whole fruit in. But the end result of the apple juice was good with only a little foam and skin left. When used correctly, the juicer performs well, I think. If you remove all the seeds and hard skin, you won't have any problems. It is a bit louder than other juicers that I've used, but the cylinder design is great for small countertops, so you can leave it out most of the time. So yeah, at the end of the day, I think it's a fairly decent juicer as long as you use it correctly. Alright guys, I hope you found this video useful and entertaining, and if you do have any questions or comments, please leave them below. If you are new to my channel, do consider subscribing, and I do hope to catch you in my next video.